We are. We're located 12 miles from the Pacific Ocean, full fog, and glad to have you out here. Yeah, it's you'd never find this on a normal day. My wife and I were really interested in cool weather Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and we spent a couple years driving around. We wanted to be near the ocean, and we stumbled upon this little gem here in the redwood trees. I grew up in Westchester County, New York, with food and wine-loving parents, so I had an early appreciation for wine. I met my wife in college, and she grew up in Tokyo, Japan, but also had a similar family interest in food and wine. And when we met, that was our shared passion. We'd drive hours to find the right restaurant and pair it with the meal with the right bottle of wine. It's 33 years later, still working. Yeah, we were actually living in Asia for 5 years. After business school, I worked for Discovery Channel in Asia, living in Jakarta, Hong Kong, and Singapore. And we came back to San Francisco in 1997, and we had our first wines from this region. Wines like Kistler, Flowers, Mary Edwards. And we're like, wow, what is this Sonoma Coast, Russian River area? And it set us off on a quest. We wanted to build a business in Japan. My wife is 23 generations. Her family goes back. She's born and raised in Tokyo. So we wanted to build a business there. And then I'm from the East Coast, and we had some friends in the restaurant business, and I come from a sales and marketing background. And we had a high bar for quality. We thought we could create something special. We were very informed novices, so we had a small collection. We were on a bunch of mailing lists of little producers out here. We'd spent a lot of time, a lot of our holidays, going to different wine regions around the world, meeting winemakers. So we kind of knew stylistically what we wanted to do. We knew varietal, which we wanted to do, and we knew we wanted to be in this area. So we just didn't have the technical know-how. So we drove around for a couple of years, and we found this little rundown barn. We ended up making 600 cases of wine in 2002. And all of our friends said, here's another crazy person getting into the wine business. But we were passionate about it, and what we didn't expect was Sideways to come out in 2004. So we released our first vintage right when Sideways came out, and we've been sold out and allocated ever since. Yeah, Pinot Noir went up 200 to 300% consumption, and we ended up doubling our business for 5 years in a row afterwards. So that movie really exposed a whole new audience to Pinot Noir, and it's continuing today. Well, Kiko's got a master's from Stanford in Italian Renaissance art history. So when we bought our small barn out here, it was not the intention for her to be a winemaker. We had a winemaker at the time, now our consulting winemaker, named Ed Kurtzman. Ed is a kind of Pinot Noir luminary, and we didn't have the technical expertise. We knew what we wanted to do stylistically, but we didn't have the wherewithal in terms of chemistry and fermentations. And so Ed made our wine for our first 5 years. My wife started helping him out because she felt bad that there was a staff of one. We didn't have a big budget. And she fell in love with fermentation and the science of winemaking. We also realized she had this amazing palate. When Ed was at Chalone, he blind tasted 20 years of Chalone and guessed correctly. Encyclopedic taster, which is highly rare. And the first year we made 20 barrels, and Akiko and Ed and myself rated them 5 different ways blind, and she matched up ideally with Ed. We're like, ooh, we have a super taster here. She was going to go back to UC Davis and get another master's degree, and Ed said, you don't need to apply for a job, I'll just teach you. So she apprenticed for 7 years, and then about 6 years ago, Ed said, you're ready, I'm busy with my other projects, I'll be a consultant. So he's still involved, he comes up once or twice a month, but it's a Kiko show for the past 5 or 6 years.